So coming up next, we have Bruno Schwartz. I think I got that right. Of Remark. He's the founder of Remark. He's speaking about the most advanced NFT system in the world, and NFTs 2.0. So I don't know what NFTs 2.0 means, but I'm assuming some sort of utility, some fun things of getting involved with NFTs past just the art. But yeah, we'll give it up for him. Yeah, let's go, Bruno. Woo!
Woo! Yeah! All right, this works. Okay, so we have very little time, so I'm going to make it really short, because most of you are kind of also vaguely familiar with Remark, I think. I've met a lot of you. So I'm going to speed through it, and then I'm going to open it up to questions, and I want as many challenging questions as you can come up with. So especially interested in the negative ones. I want to hear the feedback and address it, because I want to brainstorm this with you. So you've probably heard the phrase NFTs 2.0 a lot in the past few days or whatnot, maybe weeks, months, but really we've been developing this for over a year, and it's been in production for almost that long. So I'd like to think that we know what we've shipped, what we can ship, and what this is actually good for, and we're going to go through some examples right now. So my name is Bruno. I'm the founder of Remark, and Remark is the protocol that is behind the NFT 2.0 Legos that I'm going to talk about today. These Legos can be put together into any system of arbitrary complexity. You can always reach me on my email, Telegram, Twitter, whatever you want. And this image is one of the NFTs that I'm going to talk about. It's one of the applications of these 2.0 Legos. So everyone loves their JPEGs, but JPEGs, are not the end destination of NFTs. And they can be much more than digital assets collecting dust. Your NFT can be much more than something that has temporary hype that lives for the duration of a Gary Vee tweet. Your NFTs can live much longer, and your NFTs should live much longer, but they can't live long if they're just static links to media, static links to static media, which is what NFTs right now are. So what we've come up with is a system of elementary NFT 2.0 Legos of which each is standalone and can be used on its own, but in combination, they become something really powerful. So in a nutshell, NFTs that can own other NFTs is Lego 1. So any NFT can be the owner of any other NFT. Simple. Additionally, any NFT that owns another NFT can be made compatible with it visually in terms of being equipable. And I don't mean just visually, like putting accessories on your Bored Apes or whatnot, even though that is a primary use case right now, and it's very popular because it's very easy to understand for people. But this is applicable to much, much more. Think music NFTs that can equip stems of music into a collective song that is collaboratively created. Think distributing royalties for a jacket patch, and that jacket is worn by an avatar, and then that avatar is sold. So the designer of the patch gets their fair share, and much more, which we can go through in the Q&A. Multi-resource NFTs are another game changer that I think is a very big deal. The canonical example is an ebook. That ebook can be, at the same time, a PDF file, an audio file, or just an image. And so if you load that one NFT into Audible, it'll just play. And if you load it into Kindle, you'll just be able to read it. And it automatically uses the output depending on the context it is needed in. So if you load it into OpenSea, which doesn't support these models, it'll just show the cover, the JPEG. But it's all part of the same NFT. And this is crucial for an actual cross-metaverse, cross-collection compatible NFT. Because now you can make an accessory compatible with one collection, but later on make it compatible with another by just adding a new resource to it. Which means that if I have a pixelated axe in a Minecraft game, a voxelated axe in a Minecraft game, and later on I launch a pixelated or just a 2D game, I can just add a new asset to that same axe NFT, and it will become compatible with that new product, even if I'm not the one behind that new product. So your NFTs have eternal life. It's what we call forward compatibility, because your NFTs are made forward compatible with future collections that you don't even know are going to exist yet. And so with every new collection that comes out, your NFT becomes more and more valuable. You have this concept of a dynamic rarity score. Right now, in traditional NFT collections, you have a collection of 10,000 pigs. 3 of those pigs have red hats. Now we have a rarity of 3 in 10,000 for red-hatted pigs. That's how rarity works right now in traditional NFTs. With Remark, that's kind of turned upside down because that hat is unequipable. And you can put it onto any of the pigs. But I can then launch a collection of 10,000 raccoons and make that hat compatible with the raccoons. Now, the rarity of the hat is no longer 3 in 10,000, it is 3 in 20,000. So it just became more rare because it is compatible with many more NFTs. And this doesn't just stay at the, like I said, image or accessory level. If you have a collaborative music composition where an NFT is an empty music sheet with slots for stems, and you make a drum track that is equipable into that music NFT, that's pretty cool, right? And everybody who contributed to a song can get their fair share of royalties when that's sold, and depending on how much you contributed, that's how much money you get, and so on. But also, that drum track can be made compatible with something else completely. It can be made equipable in a piece of virtual land in a metaverse. And so when you enter with your avatar into that plot of land, you can hear that as a background track. Now the rarity of that stem is no longer just one in however many songs exist that you can equip this into, but also however many lands exist in the metaverse that can host this music. So it's a very interesting concept of mixing media that is mutually equipable. There's also on-chain emotes, reactions to NFTs that you can give to anybody's NFT at any time. This is an interesting social mechanic for gamification, but also for some price discovery. Like if an NFT that looks exactly like another one gets many more emotes or gets emoted on by a very popular person, then it's obviously relatively more valuable. And we've used this to gamify our own collections. There's conditional rendering, which can take advantage of this, where if you have multiple resources in an NFT, you can make something like an NFT that is a picture of a moon, and it has an alternative resource that is a moon with a moon base. And then if enough people send the rocket emoji to it, you can show the resource with the moon base. So your NFT evolves based on community reactions to it. And also there's the NFTs governed as DAOs. This is the fractionalization aspect that you're probably all familiar with from other ecosystems. Only here, these tokens are not used for gambling. They're used for governing that NFT collectively. Because you have many more things you can do with the NFT, equip stuff, send that NFT around, trigger some functions, these can all be launched collectively. And so here you have another interesting concept of the idea of people collectively deciding which stems get equipped into which music, which gear an avatar will equip, and so on. So here we have a brief example. Let's say that we have a chunky character. So we want it to hold some items. Traditionally, if you wanted to add some items into an existing character, you would have to draw them and then either crop them or suffer through this, right? You have to crop so that it's hidden by the hand. So how you solve this initial problem is you separate the fingers from the palm. And you get a layer, and so you give a z-index or depth to each of these. And so if the chunky is on layer 0 and the fingers are on layer 2, then layer 1 can be reserved for the items. And so you get this. But if you look at the framing of the chunky, that flag is a little bit to the right. And so if you render this as a standalone NFT, because here we are dealing with standalone NFTs that can be equipable by others, if you have that, then that looks kind of weird if it's standalone, right? It's kind of off-center. And so for this, you have another resource that is optimized for being shown in catalog pages, OpenSea and other marketplaces. So it has 2 resources, one to be equipped and one for the showing of the item in catalogs. So let's say we have a funky character. That one also wants to have a flag, but this one is at a different location and different tilt than the other one. And you don't want to modify the previous resource. Instead, you make a new resource that you apply to the same NFT that is optimized for being shown with the funky. And so now the flag has 3 resources, one big one for the chunky, one smaller one for the funky, and one main one for showing in the catalogs. Examples of this include our Canaria birds. So this is what we launched as a proof of concept of all this. The Canaria birds have like this inventory of items that they can equip, unequip. All of these are standalone NFTs. They can also hold fungible tokens. You have these items that are equipable on the back, front, chest, either wing, and so on. exact same process applies. And they're composed of base parts that have a different theme applied. These are non-tradable. You can't flip these. You can't switch these out between the birds. But there's also these slots that you have where you can actually trade NFTs. And the background is a separate NFT. A handheld item is a separate NFT. A back item is an NFT, and so on. So when you put them together, you get these crazy combinations of birds that are actually fostering this global item economy. Every one of these items can be unequipped and traded between the birds, but it doesn't stop there. You can actually port these items, accessories, to any other collection based on the Remark standards. So one other example that I want to list, and that's the basis of my avatar, is the Mushroom Topia avatars. And so this is a trippy collection of mirrors of your soul, where the mirror itself has 3 different resources. One is an audio file, a soundtrack of the soul itself. The other one is a video of the animated mirror, empty, so that it represents your empty soul. And the third one is a composable, into which you can collect parts of avatars and compose your own. And when you're collecting the parts, you have these different NFTs that have 2 resources each. The background here has the background of the tribe around the fire, but alternatively, when viewed standalone, it looks like this mushroom. Then you have the head, which looks like the mushroom standalone, but is a head for the avatar. Then you have the body, then you have the hat, then you have the hand item. When you put them together, you end up with, so this is the UI, where you have all of this in your inventory. You can just add an item to another NFT. You can then equip it. And the way it looks is you compose an avatar. Each of these parts is interchangeable with any other avatar in the system. This is the first customizable PFP collection that you can also use on our marketplace Singular to set as your profile avatar. Here's another example of the same collection but different parts put together. And it doesn't stop here, right? So you have this cross-collection compatibility where you can take an accessory or an item from one collection to the other, completely made by completely different people, completely different teams. So the Canaria could wear some of these or hold some of these items. That's it. I want to open it for questions now. But if you want to try it out, all of this is live, and you can go install Talisman, which is the wallet that you can use for this most easily. Right now, this is happening on the Kusama blockchain, but we are deploying on all the EVM chains and all the Rust chains in the Polkadot ecosystem. So we will be everywhere this year. In the meanwhile, you can try it out on Singular app, which is our marketplace for minting these advanced NFTs, and you can install Talisman, which is by far the most user-friendly extension wallet to use for this. And please feel free to get in touch. And now I would like to hear some questions. Yeah, who is that? Greg? Is that you? Okay. Go.
Thanks. Thanks, Bruno. If I wanted to add, you've been talking about multi-resource, right?
Yep.
If I wanted to add a new resource to my multi-resource NFT later on, how would I prove that new resource relates to the same NFT as before? It's not changing. It's same picture, same image, but just slightly modified. But it seems a bit subjective.
So a resource is a meta entity that is part of an NFT. And when you add a new resource, you can define in that addition to which slot of which collection it applies. So for example, if I have this axe that I then want to equip from Minecraft to the Canaria collection, when I add the illustrated axe version of the resource to the axe, I will specify during that addition of the resource, I will specify this is all on chain. I will tell it, you are meant for the Canaria collection slot called left hand. And thereby, I will add the resource that is compatible with one specific aspect of another collection. In Remark also, every NFT is a multisig between the owner and the issuer for operations like this, which means that in order to have a new resource added to your NFT, the issuer has to suggest it, so the one who minted the collection, and the owner has to approve it. This prevents the issuer from rug pulling the art from people, but also prevents the owner from just adding new resources at will to their NFT, which just devalues them or overvalues them. So it's always a multi-sig operation. But when you do that, both sides will agree, and you will have a resource that is targeting one other collection specifically. Also, a new resource does not have to be meant for another collection. It can just be an alternative version of the same NFT. If you go to singular.app and look at the Canaria collection, or go to canaria.rmrk.app, you will see that bird number 1, this is Canaria number 1, has 3 different resources. 1 is the composable bird that I showed. 2 is a beautiful illustration by our art director that represents this bird. And 3 is a GIF of a spinning statue of that same bird. And that statue is in my car. I'll put it in the NFT gallery later on. So it has 3 resources. It references 3 different outputs. And these are all like parts of that same NFT. And the owner of an NFT can prioritize which resource gets shown first. So that's basically it.
Thank you.
Hey, so what do you think about the concept of soul-bonded items like in World of Warcraft? And are you planning to support this concept through Remark Standard?
Yeah, we've had these live for a year. When we launched Canaria, every bird has gems. And these gems give it special abilities and values that you can utilize on the marketplace to trade a gem for something else. But also, you cannot transfer them out. You can equip and unequip them, but they are stuck in the bird. So the bird can be traded, but you can't trade the gem out of it. So this is a step beyond the soul-bound NFT style, where you bind them to an address. Here, you can bind them to an address, but you can also bind them to another NFT. And there's actually really interesting experiments happening on Remark right now, where for example, in Kusama, you have the concept of on-chain governance. So you can actually vote for on-chain changes by voting on-chain. And everybody who does gets a trophy shelf, and this trophy shelf can hold trophies that you get when you vote on these. And this has actually increased turnout of this world's biggest DAO by a lot, and is also a really fun indicator of your on-chain activity as you build your trophy shelf. And those trophies themselves are non-transferable, so you're building your reputation visually by collecting them and putting them on your shelf. And this can then later be used by a protocol, for example, to read your NFT and give you like an under-collateralized loan in DeFi because your reputation is the collateral. So we already have this, and it can be used today. It can be launched today.
Great, thank you.
I think that's all we have for time, so thank you all, but I'll be around, so hit me up if you have any questions. Thank you.